Monday, August the 31st. Tomorrow will be the first day of September. And I know we are all glad that August is behind us. This weekend, it was a somber privilege for me to spend much of the weekend on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. As many of you know, it was the 15th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. We had the occasion to make stops in Biloxi and Pass Christian and Gulfport, as well as in Waveland in Hancock County at the Katrina Museum. And we remembered the horror of August 29, 2005, and we memorialized everyone we lost. But we were also able to celebrate the resilience of our state. We know that we have bounced back from that tragedy, and we've even come back stronger than we were before. It was a powerful reminder to me because I know we'll do the same after this COVID crisis. Earlier today, I signed an order to extend our previous mitigation efforts with one change. We are increasing the number of spectators at school sports and other extracurricular events to 25% when social distancing can occur. Obviously, we've talked about this before. We signed the previous order a few weeks ago, and it's working. Things have been improving. We can always improve faster. We can always do better, but I'm encouraged by the efforts of the people of this great state. As our numbers improve, we're able to do more and more safely in the community. I want to thank the people of Mississippi for working hard to make these improvements possible. Nothing is without risk, but we have to allow life to go on and to deal with these challenges that are before us. You'll recall that several weeks ago we had reached 9,200 cases over a 7-day period. That's Saturday until Friday. This week, that number was right at 5,000 cases. So we've cut our weekly numbers in half. Now we need to cut them in half again. We know that Labor Day is upon us. We know that with both Memorial Day and July 4th, large gatherings occurred, and in many instances, there was transmission that led to increased cases. That is one reason that we have decided to extend the order that I put in place weeks ago for 2 more weeks. My ask of you is this: as we move into Labor Day weekend, please continue to make the effort. I've said it 100 times before, and I'm sure I'll say it 100 times again. But in this crisis, none of us has been perfect, including myself. But if we keep trying, if we keep working together, if we keep doing the little things, we will see things continue to improve. We will protect each other, and we will create an environment that is more like normal than what we've been dealing with for much of 2020. With that, I'm going to ask Dr. Byers, who is here in place of Dr. Dobbs today, to give us an update on the numbers. We obviously had a very good day today, following up very good days the latter part of last week, but we must continue to work hard. Dr. Byers?
Thank you, Governor. So today, we're reporting out an additional 274 cases and an additional 32 deaths. 19 of those deaths come from vital records reviews or death certificate reviews, and those deaths occurred between July 8th and August 24th. We continue to review death certificates and vital records data to identify deaths that weren't reported through the normal processes. So that puts us at about 83,000 cases total statewide and about 2,500 deaths. And of those deaths that we've reported out today, 12 of those are among long-term care residents. But if you've been watching the data, you have seen that we've seen some minimal decreases in the number of outbreaks in long-term care settings. That's encouraging, and we want to continue to protect that, that vulnerable population. The 274 cases that we're reporting out is encouraging. Y'all know that from watching the data, often we see some decreases over the weekend from the numbers that we report. So if you look at our trends and our trend data that's on our website, you can see that we have been trending down. It looks like it's starting to level off a bit now, and maybe even go up a little bit, but it's not as dramatic as the increases that we saw, especially after the 4th of July. And we certainly hope that we don't see a similar picture after Labor Day. Hospitalizations, we've seen some slight increases in the number of people hospitalized with confirmed COVID. We've seen some minimal increases in the number of folks on ventilators due to COVID. We'll continue to watch that data. One of the things that we're doing is continuing to work with the schools, and I've told y'all before that I've been real encouraged from what we've seen with the schools so far. By and large, the schools that we've been working with are really working hard to identify cases within the school setting and to get those individuals quarantined or excluded from school, and to get those cases isolated and excluded from school. This is preliminary report, and you know that we're going to be reporting aggregate data on a weekly basis by county for our schools. But for the week of August 24th through August 28th, there were an additional 123 cases among teachers and staff, an additional 251 cases among students, and with that, in last week's time frame, we were looking at about 3,500, a little bit over 3,400 students that were quarantined, and about 450 teachers that were under quarantine as a result of their exposures. Again, this data is preliminary, and we're going to be reporting that out on our website probably tomorrow as we continue to get these reports in from schools. Dr. Dobbs and I last week had an opportunity to visit with a couple of the larger universities in the state to go over their planning and to look at their processes that they have in place. Many of our universities and colleges have been pretty transparent about the numbers of cases that are occurring on the campus setting. And, you know, we've been working with the colleges and universities now for several weeks in their planning process and have provided them some guidelines. I was pretty encouraged with what we saw in the college setting with their overall plans to identify cases, their overall plans to identify those individuals who are exposed, make sure that they have areas where they can get them quarantined, make sure that they have areas where they can get the individuals isolated. By and large, they've done a pretty good setup in their classroom setting too, to limit exposures. And I tell you, I'm real pleased with the work and the collaboration that we've had both with the K through 12 schools and with the colleges and universities. And we hope to continue that good relationship. That's my report, Governor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let me just say this. The next 10 days are critical. If you look at our 7-day rolling average in total number of cases, we are about where we were just before July 4th. That was 2 months ago. We were in the range of 700 cases per day on average. As we saw in middle to late July, partially because of July 4th, but not entirely, what we saw was a pretty significant uptick in cases in the latter part throughout the month of July, which led to significant hospitalizations, which led to significant stress on our healthcare space. And it quite frankly, led Dr. Byers and Dr. Dobbs and I to have some really difficult conversations as we tried to deal with the lack of ICU capacity and lack of other capacities within our healthcare system. Fortunately, the people of Mississippi responded. Now at that time, going into July 4th, we were trending up, but we're about where we were. Now we're trending down, but are back in terms of total numbers, back down to that approximately July 1 numbers. So the next 10 days are critical. The next 10 days are critical because we have an opportunity to really shoot the numbers down. Now, some of you have heard me talk about the R0 number. That is, for a simple person like me, let me just tell you about Mississippi. Mississippi right now is tied for the third best R0 number in the country. It's at 0.9. More or less what that means, and Dr. Byers and his many, many degrees could probably spend hours explaining this, but basically what it means is that if every person gives the virus at this point to about 0.9 people. When that number is over 1, that means that the virus is increasing in numbers. And the interesting thing about it is, even if it's 1.1 or 1.15, the exponential growth in new cases is significant, because if every one person gives it to 1.15, and then that 1.15 persons give it to 1.15, it grows exponentially. Mississippi today, and again, this is a number that I monitor very, very closely, is at 0.9. There are only 2 other states, Rhode Island and Arizona, who have numbers that are below ours. And so we're at a unique position in which, if we will work extremely hard over the next 10 days, we can really drive our daily case numbers down. Really drive them down. I would like nothing more than to be here in a week and a half to 2 weeks and say that our daily cases are below 500 per. That would drive us down from our current number of 5,037 that we had last week, down below 3,500 total cases. That's a goal that is possible, but it is only possible if we are exceptionally aware going into Labor Day weekend. The next 10 days are critical for us to really shoot these numbers down. And the reality is, as we've seen in our schools, we're having cases, but a lot more cases we found from kids bringing it into our schools because they had gotten it in the community. And so if you get the total numbers down, community spread is significantly less, and then there are less kids getting it and actually bringing it into the schools. So the next 10 days is critical, and that's the reason we have extended the order, and that's the reason we are urging everyone to really be aware of your surroundings and really be aware of making sure that we're working together to not spread the virus. Because if we can keep this R0 number at 0.9, continue to drive it down, we can really see significant progress.